The following podcast is an exclusive presentation of Project Entertainment Network.
Bizzong.
Bizzong.
Hold up. This is the 100th episode of Bizzong. Let's try something special.
Bizzong.
Bizzong. Bizzong.
Bizzong.
This is Bizzong, the Bizarre and Weird Fiction Podcast with me, your host for the 100th time, Zongers, Mr. Frank. We have made it to the finish line, or the starting line, depending on how you want to look at it. This is episode 100 of Bizzong. Now, many people said it couldn't be done, but here we are, proving them wrong. There are 100 reasons to keep talking about bizarre and weird fiction. Isn't that the greatest freaking thing in the world, Zongers? You know, they always do that thing in school, the 100 days, a day of school, and you show 100 of something. Well, Zongers, this is my 100-day episode of Bizzong. I'm going to bring this into class tomorrow and show it off to all the students. What do you say you bring it into your class tomorrow and show it off to them too? Yeah, it's going to be spectacular with this episode. We've got all kinds of call-ins. I've been begging and pleading for several weeks now, and we got a buttload of calls to take care of. But of course, we have to take care of business. Now, the cool kind of thing about taking care of business is one of my first calls kind of took care of business for me. So, let's hand the microphone over for the first call in. I said you could go on as long as short as however you want. Our Zonger friend, Mr. Benjamin Anthony, he gave me like a 5.5 minute long thing. The whole introduction, just like I asked. I said, let's do this thing. Like you're going to do a little homage to Bizzong or whatnot. Benjamin Anthony showed up with a nice intro. I'm going to take a break, Zongers. I got a lot of talking to do tonight. And you got a lot of talking to do tonight. Let's start out by giving Benjamin Anthony the microphone, letting him take over Bizzong for a few minutes. Mr. Benjamin Anthony, have at it, sir.
Welcome to the show, the podcast that is called Bizzong. It's a podcast of weird and bizarre literary fictions. And we have your special guest, your host, Mr. Frank. Except today, he's taking a break. And so we're all saying hello from the land of the internet. And I'd like to wish you a hello from my fake head. This is Dr. Benjamin Anthony. And please, we want to encourage you also to help support Bizzong by going and buying a corset. Buy a corset and some shoes, maybe a tie, a toothpick, you know, whatever you're feeling like you want to buy. And they have for sale in Jacksonville, Florida. But if you're not in Jacksonville, Florida, head on down to the internet. Go to subculturecorsets.com and buy yourself some stuff, some corsets, some crap. And when you do, Mr. Frank has made a special arrangement for all his friends. When you go there and you buy your corsets and stuff, you put in a special discount code. The secret discount code. Everybody scream when you hear it, okay? The special discount code is Bizzong. Okay, so every time you hear Bizzong, it's a special secret code word of the day. I want you guys to scream, okay? Because you will get 10% off your order. Not just, listen, other podcasts, you might get 10% off like the cheapest item that you're buying. You know, you're buying like 3 things, and whatever one's the cheapest one. Other, like lame podcasts, you only get 10% off the cheapest item. Okay? Not here on Bizzong. You're always supposed to scream, so I give you a second there to scream. Here at Bizzong, Mr. Frank has made a special arrangement. You get 10% off your whole order. The whole thing. You just go in there, you walk into Jacksonville, Florida, you go up to the mayor and you say, Mr. Mayor, Jacksonville, Florida, I want to buy this here, state of Florida. And he's going to say, what? And you're going to say, Bizzong, bitch! Give me 10% off. 10% off the state of Florida. Because that's what you get. Mr. Frank has set this up because he's your friend. Okay? The other thing Mr. Frank has for you, don't know if you're ready for it, but Mr. Frank has arranged this from beyond the reaches of time and space. Coming here through the internet, coming here through, hallelujah, through the realms of the wireless internets that we have surrounding us, poisoning our brains with radiation and gamma rays and beta ray bill and all the other things that are out there. Mr. Frank has arranged for us to have for you the gong. So please, Mr. Frank, close your eyes, count to 3, and on the 3 we're going to say Bizzong. Okay? Remember what to do? Start screaming. Scream like your head just fell off. Okay, come on, Mr. Frank, let's do this. Close your eyes, twist your fingers. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3. And at 3, we have the gong, right? That's what we have at 3. That's all from your friend, Mr. Frank. So please, Mr. Frank, don't listen to the haters out there that might be saying, Mr. Frank, stop making the Bizzong show. Don't listen to those people. Put them behind you, put them out of mind, and please continue to make the best podcast for the literary, bizarro, underground, fiction fans and authors and delinquents who don't know how to read yet, but are looking to you to help them learn how to read. Keep making Bizzong. Thank you, Mr. Frank.
There he is, a Zongers Dr. Benjamin Anthony, Zonger extraordinaire to the stars, helping Mr. Frank out doing all the work. For a little while there, I thought possibly, and it could be, I have my opinion here. It may be like he's having an alias there, and it was actually comedian extraordinaire Stephen Wright. You be the judge, Zongers. Either way, that was an awesome submission, and I thank very much Benjamin Anthony / Stephen Wright from the bottom of my heart for helping save my voice for this episode and doing that fantastic commercial. Remember, 10% off the state of Florida, and I hope the good folks at Subculture Courses aren't too upset by me handing the reins over to him. He really did have the talking points down good, so I guess your pal Mr. Frank is doing good work here, repeating himself over and over again, imploring you to buy corsets and wonderful clothing at subculturecorsets.com. Right, Zongers. Hey, let's keep going with the Bizzong100 episode celebration that you Zongers have made possible. That's right, you Zongers, this is your episode, because if you guys were not listening, and gals, and whatever your thing is, whoever's listening with whatever ears you have, thank you for doing so, because I can't get to 100 episodes without you Zongers out there. You're the most important people to me. So I thought what would be fun to kick off 100 episode is to go all the way back, rewind to episode 1, like I said, I was imploring people to do the now infamous Bizzong intro. This is Bizzong, the Bizarre and Weird. So I got plenty of those types of things, but I wanted to go back and give you the first one. I wanted to give you Mr. Frank's first This is Bizzong intro. All right. So this is going to be it's going to be different. There's no doubt. And we're going to take a little journey here down memory lane to find out all about the history of the intro. You're listening to Bizzong, the Bizarre and Weird Fiction Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Frank. Yeah, that sounded a little bit different, didn't it, Zongers? I was shocked, too, when I went back that far and found that I didn't do the now infamous Bizzong, Bizarre and Weird Fiction Podcast intro. As a matter of fact, it took a couple of episodes to actually sort of, evolve into that intro. So before we go more into the evolution of the intro, I also want to, that was episode 1. Episode 2, I still did a very bland intro, but I did, for the first time, name you all Zongers. So let's take a listen to me naming you all Zongers. For a host to sort of name his audience, and you guys I'm going to affectionately call the Zongers. So there it is, Zongers episode 2. I already loved you. You're already near and dear to my hearts, and I had to give you a name. Like you named something you love, I named you all the Zongers because you were very important to me all the way back then. Now, like I said, the evolution of the intro didn't happen immediately at episode 1. It actually starts to take place during episode 6. Episode 5. Episode 5, you get a little tweak. I give it a little lift on the Bizarre and Weird. You just have to listen to yourself. It's not the full effect, but this is what, like, the inkling, the very first inkling of where I start to give a little pizzazz to the intro. Let's check it out from episode 5, the intro as it begins to form what we know it now today, 100 episodes later. This is Bizzong, the Bizarre and Weird Fiction Podcast, with me, your host, Mr. Frank. A little gurgly in the throat that time, but there it is. You can just hear the weird fiction. I added a little pizzazz to it. Now, I felt like I needed to give you a little more than that. You know, that's truly the origin of the way the episode goes now. But that was episode 5. It would take 5 more episodes for me to, like, really let loose and really just give you the full-on experience, like the whole thing with me just going the Weird Fiction Podcast and really lingering on it, playing with it. It's just me trying to be weird and put a little punctuation on what Bizzong is all about. So this episode 10 it's the episode with John Skip, which is criminally underlistened to, Zongers. So maybe after this whole celebration is over, go back to episode 10 and listen to John freaking Skip. God damn it. I interviewed John Skip. It flew under the radar. But this is it. This is episode 10 where we get really the first true full Bizzong interview Bizzong introduction as we know it today. Let's check it out. This is Bizzong, the Bizarre and Weird Fiction Podcast, with me, your host, Mr. Frank. So there it is, Zongers. That's the history, the evolution of the now infamous Bizzong introduction that I like to do week after week now for the 100th time, even though really taking a look back at it, it took about 10 episodes to kick into full gear. But that's kind of what, people always, when I meet you Zongers out there, you're always doing that little impersonation of the intro. So I guess you dig it. And of course, everybody has a love-hate, seems like a love-hate relationship with the intro music, the little calliope music with the Bizzong. For the most part, I think you all love it. And anybody that's annoyed by it is annoyed by it in a loving way, I hope. I'm not changing it, so you better just get used to it, okay, Zongers? But at the top of the show, I changed the episode music up a little bit because our good friend and fellow Zonger, Mr. Liam Shardlow, he did a whole Bizzong remix. And I thought that was really killer. And for the 100th episode, I thought I'd stick it in there and mix it up and give you some new intro music. So that was awesome of Liam, and thank you very much for doing that as well. I think it helped make the tone of the episode a lot more fun. So Zongers, we heard from Dr. Benjamin Anthony, and it's time to start listening to some of these other call-ins. I've been asking for like 10 weeks now to give a call in and do your things, help me celebrate, because this is your episode, Zongers. So let's kick it off with the first phone call that I received. Right away, I got just a ton of some interesting celebrity call-ins and some certainly weird call-ins. I don't know how to categorize these really, but we're going to start out with the first one I got. Why not, right? Why not start out with number one? When you're feeling like number two, you got to start out with number one. So here it is, for what it's worth. The first call in, you can figure out who it's from.
Yeah, see? This is the gangster from the 40s. And I wanted to say Bizzong. Bizzong, Bizzong. Well, I'll rub you out.
There it is. the gangster from the 40s. Saying Bizzong, Bizzong, and wanting to rub me out. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. And like I said, the best thing about getting out there and out into the world and meeting Zongers is you never know who's going to be a listener to the show, right? That's always the biggest surprise. So by doing this, I've also learned a great deal about who's listening to Bizzong, and that includes Shane, the gangster from the 40s. He's going to rub me out. So I don't, maybe that's the first also like, don't do this anymore, Mr. Frank kind of call, because I said you could do that too. That's fair enough. So I'm sorry, Shane, if I've upset you since the 1940s and that you want to rub me out now for doing Bizzong, all right? Now, this next one is also a big celebrity call-in, and I was really taken aback. I mean, he's like a huge Hollywood guy now. So to hear that our next caller is a fan of Bizzong and a fellow Zonger is just nothing short of amazing. So let's have a listen to our next caller, the great, well, you can hear for yourself.
Hey, Frank Edler. This is Dwayne The Rock Johnson. If you smell what the jabroni is cooking, Bizzong, Bizzong, Bizzong.
How about that, Zongers? Dwayne The Rock Johnson calling in and celebrating 100 episodes of Bizzong. Who would have thunk it? Certainly not I. Certainly not I. I don't know. Should we move on? Should we get another? Let's get another. We had some celebrity callers. Let's do some before we go into the more, your more pedestrian, regular, run-of-the-mill, everyday. I love you all, salted here, Zongers. Let's do one more call. This, a living legend right here. Let's have a listen from this Zonger from across the pond.
Well, Sean Connery here. Congratulations on your show. It's wonderful that you made it to 100 episodes. Now suck my dick. Bizzong.
Wow. Sean Connery. Is that the Sean Connery that used to do the Jeopardy episodes on Saturday Night Live? You got a little ornery there at the end. Thanks, Sean Connery, for calling in. I really do appreciate that. I'm really blown away by all the Zongers that did call in. Let's get into a Zonger that isn't a celebrity. I guess that's the easiest way to put it. Let's get into a call in from the guy who makes Bizzong possible every week. And I'm not talking about Mr. Hand from Subculture Corsets and Clothing or Mrs. Hand from Subculture Corsets and Clothing. They've got their work cut out for them. They don't have time to call into Mr. Frank's Bizzong show. But I do have the owner, the head honcho, and my very good friend, Mr. Armand Rosamilia, called in to say, give his congratulations. Armand's always blown away. He's one of those guys like, I can't believe you've done 100. I can't believe there's 100 people to talk to about Bizarre and Weird Fiction. Proving him and all the other Zongers wrong. Let's hear from Armand Rosamilia.
Hey, I just want to congratulate Mr. Frank Edler. 100 episodes of Bizzong. That's pretty damn awesome. I'd like to think I I was going to say I had a small part, but I had a huge part in bringing Bizzong to the masses. So, you know what, everybody? You're welcome. But seriously, Frank, here's to another 100 episodes. You're awesome. You know you're a good guy, even with that Debbie Gibson thing. And here's to continued success for Bizzong on Project Entertainment Network. All right, dude. I will see you soon.
And thank you, Armand, for calling in and giving me those kind words. I rolled a tear. I'm not going to lie. I cried a little bit, mostly because I'm cutting up an onion, but really, it was a touching phone call nonetheless. And, you know, it's funny that Armand brought up Debbie Gibson. I don't know that I advertise it a whole lot on this podcast, but it's a sort of a quirky thing that everybody digs about me. I love Debbie Gibson's music. She's an American treasure. I dedicated one of my books to her. So I was really taken aback when Debbie Gibson called in and revealed that she's a Zonger. You know, talk about crying. I wept when I heard this. I've had it for a while, and I listen to it every night now and just cry myself to sleep with tears of joy that Debbie Gibson decided to call in and reveal that she's a Zonger. Debbie, my heart, let's hear what you have to say.
Hey, Frank. It's Debbie Gibson. And I just wanted to say that you and Bizzong, you were only in my dreams. And I'm so glad you made it to 100 episodes. Now I want you to fuck me. Bizzong, Bizzong.
Why do all these celebrities get all raw with me at the end and then start screaming Bizzong, Bizzong? It's kind of weird. Still, yes, I do rock myself to sleep with tears of joy, thinking about Debbie Gibson and her saying Bizzong and awful bad words that really, need I remind the Zongers, got the entire Project Entertainment Network taken down off of iTunes for a while. The poorly behaved Bizzong was responsible for that in our 100 episode stint. And so much for cleaning it up. Thanks a lot, Debbie Gibson and Sean Connery for that matter. Moving on, we had a lot more Zongers call into the show. Past guests, many past guests and fans of the show. Here's a past guest. Just, you know, I had this dude on. I thought highly of his work. I'm the kind of guy who doesn't really get into this, you know, bizarre erotica, Chuck Tingle type of stuff. I just don't get it. I think it's a money grab or whatever. But doing Bizzong and talking to the people, Mandy DeSandra, Christophe Paul, and our next guest, among others, who have engaged in this bizarre erotica, you know, I was sort of turned. I forgive it a lot more. It's still not my deal, but I forgive it a lot more. And it's always worth a chuckle. So I discovered this guy, like he did some cool shit. So here's Mr. Leonard Delaney calling in to Bizzong.
Hi, I'm Leonard Delaney, and I'm listening to Bizzong, the weird fiction radio podcast. I messed it up. I'm sorry, Frank. I bungled it again.
Oh, Leonard, don't worry. I know I told you all, like, if you fucked up, I was going to edit it, but, you know, I kind of like the sincerity and just the realness of your little bungles trying to call in. I had a couple people, like, I was like, hey, you want to do one while we're recording their interviews? I'm like, you want to do one now? And they're like, oh, I'd just rather have a moment alone with myself to do it and not be embarrassed by it, which I think is weird. I don't know, because I've been doing this 100 times now. I can just be on, I guess, and do it in any situation. But I understand, like, you know, it's you're opening yourself up. So, Leonard, thank you for opening yourself up, you dirty bastard, and calling into Bizzong and giving me that. Congratulations. Hey, Zongers out there, check out Leonard Delaney's episode. We talked a great deal about that bizarre erotica stuff and his other work out there. And maybe you can figure out what his other pen name / real name is out in the world, right? It's sort of a name familiar to me. Let's move on, Zongers. Here's a call in from a guy who I met this past summer doing the Beers and Fears tour around New Jersey with Armand Rosamilia and the guy who I suspect is the voice behind those celebrity impersonation call-ins. Yeah, I'm going to call bullshit on them. That's Mr. Chuck Buddha, and as well as Tim Meyer and a couple others joined us on the Beers and Fear tour. And one day while we were at Spellbound Brewing down in Mount Holly, New Jersey, this dude was hanging out. Just happened to be there, man. Just happened to be at the brewery hanging out. Dude looked like Phil Anselmo, was metal as hell. He came over. He was just all charged up. Like, oh my God, you wrote this book. It turns out our next call-in guy it just happened to be at the right place at the right time. And picked up her books. Awesome dude. He's an aspiring writer himself who has just finished working on a pretty good sized project that I hope we're going to see pretty soon from him out there in the world. But until then, let's hear from a Zonger, Mr. Phil Anselmo himself, JC Walsh. Take it away, JC.
Hey, Bizzongs, JC Walsh here. Hey, Frank, just want to wish you a happy 100 episode and keep up the great work, man.
Short and sweet, JC. Love it, love it, love it. Appreciate your calling in and giving your little tiny kiss of love to Bizzong. I appreciate you listening, and I can't wait to see you out there on Beers and Fears 2 this May, JC. That's right, Beers and Fears 2 coming to New Jersey and a little bit of Pennsylvania this May. Moving on, we've got a lot more calls to take care of here, Zongers. Let's see, who do we got next in the queue? Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good one from another past guest, a guy I ran into at Scares It Cares this past summer. Seen him out there on the Twitter and the Facebook, but got to meet him face to face for the first time. Cool dude. Does some really cool writing, and I hope to see more of him and to see him gain prominence in the bizarre and weird fiction realms. So take it away. Thanks for calling in, Mr. Justin Walker, J. Peter W., as he's more colloquially. No, it's his pen name, J. Peter W. Take it away, boy.
Mr. Frank, this is Justin Walker, a.k.a. J. Peter W. Just want to say congratulations on 100 episodes of Bizzong. Is one of my favorite podcasts, and appreciate you letting me be part of that show. Hopefully there'll be several hundred more to come. Once again, congratulations, man.
Well, thank you very much. I can't believe... Oh, are you still going? Have you hung up yet? Hang up the phone, man. Oh, there's your kid. Justin's got kids. I know how it is, Zongers. I know how it is with kids. Doing the Bizzong podcast can sometimes be a bit of a challenge with kids around, the younger kids. My kids are like in the 8 to 11-year-old range. Oh, Justin's kids are still there. They're in the 8 to 11-year-old range, and sometimes while I'm recording, they're around and about the Bizzong studios doing gymnastics or playing Xbox and that sort of thing. And thank God I bought myself condenser mics. So my microphone does not pick up the ambience of the room. That failed me at Scares It Cares when I did Bizzong Live, and I had to make up for that episode because my mics are really, I got to be right on top of my mic, and it's picking up just what's directly in front of it. So fortunately, I can have a lot of ambient noise around the room that doesn't get picked up because of the microphones I have. But Justin, hey, I know how it is with kids. Sometimes they're just in the background. A lot of people who do the interviews, you know, they got dogs, they got kids. They're always apologizing to me. Please, Zongers, don't apologize for any background noise. I know how it is. You got dogs running around. You got cats sticking their asses in your faces. And maybe you have kids sticking their asses in your faces. And sometimes they got diapers and they're dirty. And that's why they're sticking their ass in your face. Kids are freaking crazy. And so are pets. So, I hope all the Zongers out there, when they're listening and hear cats and dogs and children, you know, I've never got a complaint about it, and I do my best to edit that out if I can. But hey, it's just part of the freaking experience. One thing, Zongers, I did when I started Bizzong was I had a podcast I did before Bizzong called Books, Beer, and Bullshit. Did with a dear friend of mine. We'd sit down face to face and record for about 2 hours, and I'd whittle it down to roughly an hour episode. It was very grueling. The editing process I punished myself with. I have nobody to blame but myself. I would sit there and I would take out, deep breaths, and I would take out the likes and the uhs and just edit out long pieces of audio that was just, kind of lingering and wandering conversation that, took away from the focus. It was like editing a book, essentially. 2 hours of audio for a podcast, down to one. It was grueling, and we did 40 episodes of that show. It's never officially dead, but certainly we haven't done it in quite some time. But it was hard. I was trying my best to give great audio, but really in the end, I started hearing a lot of other podcasts that were just letting it rip. Like, it doesn't care. As long as you're doing like a good show with good content, the little glitches, nobody cares. This is the age of the internet radio, and it doesn't have to be as clean as, terrestrial radio. And really, put on terrestrial radio, that's not clean either. So I just I set out to do Bizzong with the minimal editing. If there's background noise, so be it. Everybody moves past it. Everybody's looking for the cool content and something to listen to while they're working out, while they're driving to work, driving home from work, shopping in the store, and don't want to deal with other people walking around stores. A million ways that you imbibe podcasts. The little burp that I just did, it's meaningless. So I set out to do Bizzong with minimal editing in mind, and it's just been such a breath of fresh air and another little piece of the puzzle to me figuring out how to do 100 episodes of a podcast. If I punished myself by trying to over edit this thing, you'd never have had 100 episodes, despite how much you Zongers out there love it. Speaking of how much you Zongers love this podcast, why don't we check out another one of these? Really, I don't know if this is I don't know. You figure it out for yourself what this call-in's all about.
Want to add any mayonnaise for your French fried potatoes? Bizzong? Bizzong? Congratulations. Your 100th episode. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounded a little bit like Billy Bob Thornton. Of course it was Sling Blade. So there he is, Sling Blade, calling in and wondering about my French fried potatoes. And I do have French fried potatoes, as a matter of fact, just not with me, but stop by anytime. Bizzong always has French fried potatoes. This is another interesting one. While we're back on the interesting ones for right now, I don't know what to think of this one. I think this might be like a Jerry Springer type of thing, but Springer? No. The other guy, Seinfeld, Mr. Jerry Seinfeld type of thing. I was never a big fan of the Seinfeld podcast. Now, I know there's like half of you Zongers just moaned and groaned at me, but I'm sorry. In the moment of when it was at the 90s, I was not watching must-see TV or whatever the heck was going on. I wasn't watching Friends. I wasn't watching Seinfeld. I was watching the Drew Carey Show. That was like the anti-Friends or whatever, and I don't know if that goes up against Seinfeld. I don't know. I just didn't really watch it, all right? So I don't get all the Seinfeld references. I just think this is one. And if it's not and I don't get what it is, I'm sorry anyway, but I love you for calling in, Mr. Reference Person. Let's have at it.
Jenny, tell him the one about Frank and the Bizzong and how he, 100 episodes. It's great. Tell him, Jenny. Go ahead. Tell him the one about the Bizzong. Congratulations on 100 episodes. That's fucking fantastic.
Okay. Maybe that wasn't even Seinfeld. I really don't know what the heck that was, but it is what it is. And that's all that it can be, Zongers. So thank you, Jenny, and that's fucking fantastic. Well, once again for calling in and lending a hand to this 100 episodes of Bizzong celebration. Now, truth be told, Zongers, even though we're at 100 episodes, and I always say people are kind of blown away that I found 100 reasons to talk about bizarre and weird fiction writers it has not been, we have not reached 100 unique interviews with 100 unique, bizarre, weird fiction writers. I just didn't have the time to sit there and figure out that math. But off the top of my head, I'd say we're at every bit of 85 original writers, round and about, give or take 5. Probably more like take 5. It might be closer to 90. I've just done a couple episodes myself where I didn't have a guest. That's maybe about 5 episodes. And there's a handful of guests who've done repeat shows. Danger Slater, Kevin Strange, Jeff O'Brien come to mind as multiple times, more than twice for sure. And a few others have done twice on the show. So it's not 100 unique guests. We'll get there. That's easy peasy Japanesey Zongers. But to be clear, I haven't actually found 100 guests, and we'll probably pass that benchmark quietly into the night and unbeknownst to anybody when we hit it. But I think 100 episodes is pretty freaking awesome. It's 100 of something. Zongers, I'm not gonna lie, it takes some work to do this 100 times, despite the fact that I've made it easier for me to do these shows week after week. But it is, I still do it, pretty much every week. I take a couple of weeks off here and there, but not many. And, I got to line up guests, and sometimes guests fall through. Understandably so. I don't hold it against nobody. Sometimes life gets in the way, and whatever we schedule can't happen. And sometimes Zongers, it's just hard to find anybody who's available to interview. So that happens from time to time. And I just got to step up to the mic and come up with a show to keep you all entertained and let you know that I'm still out there. Haven't forgotten about you, Zongers. I don't like to miss a week if I can avoid it. So it is work, and it is time week after week for 100 weeks now that I have done this. And for that reason that I'm doing this, I'm spending time on the weekends, time during the week doing interviews, putting the show all together. I do it all myself, Zongers. I have the help and love of the Project Entertainment Network to host this thing, to give us the voice, give us an opportunity to have a wider audience, and that's all helped very much. But the fact that you guys just even listen to this thing I do out of a passion for the work that you all are writing and appreciating, that's something pretty special to me. So I don't ever like to hem and haw about the work, because it's a labor of love, Zongers, that I do Bizzong. Not a big thing. And when you guys do your call-ins and tell me how much you're appreciating the show, sometimes, it gives me a boost. Not even sometimes. Every time it gives me a boost. So let's hear from another one of you Zongers. Here's a caller who's on the show fairly recently, just the beginning of the year. Let's take it away. New Bizarre Author Series 2018. Larissa Glasser, take it away. Thanks for calling in, Larissa.
Frank, this is Larissa Glasser, author of F4 from Marissa Press, part of the New Bizarre Author Series. I want to congratulate you on your 100th episode. Congratulations, motherfucker. And, geez, I love the show, everyone. And, if you don't love it, I'm gonna come over and move into your house, turn all your goldfish, trans, and eat all of your toaster strudel. Your toaster strudel. It's in danger of my eating it. You're gonna have it all. No, I'm gonna have it all. Alright, Frank. Be good.
I cannot promise I will be good, Larissa, but I can promise you I am tickled pink that you took the time to call in to Bizzong. Really appreciate it. Hope that new Bizarre Author Series book, F4, is doing wonderfully for you. Zongers, when you call in and you left a message on Google Voice, it gives me a transcript, a text transcript when I pull up the voicemail message on screen. And I'm tickled by some of the way that Google translates your messages. Like, for instance, some of them are really whacked out, but you hear it, and it definitely has a hard time transcribing what somebody's trying to say when they say Bizzong. So I don't know what to get, really. I can look at them before I actually listen to them. Larissa's was funny because I thought it was a bunch of misinterpretations, but it was actually, for the most part, what she said. Let me read back to you the Google translation of Larissa's call-in. It goes as follows. Frank, this is Larissa Glasser, author of S4 from Mercer Press. Of course, she said Eraserhead, and it was F4. The new Bizarro author series want to congratulate you on your 100 episode. Congratulations, and it bleeps out motherfucker, just puts all asterisks. Congratulations, motherfucker, and cheese. I love the show, everyone, and if you don't have it, I'm going to come over and move into your house, turn all your goldfish trans, and eat all of your toaster strudel. Your toaster strudel. It's in danger of my eating it. You're going to have it all. All right, be good, Frank. Now, I thought that was a little jumbled, but if you listen back, that was about 90% correct for what Larissa said. Talking about trans goldfish and toaster strudel and my eating it and all that crazy stuff. And it was good enough to pick up motherfucker and censor it. But it didn't pick up shit. It thought shit was cheese. So, you know, for what it's worth, I've been enjoying reading the Google translations of your call-ins as much as I've been happy to just have you calling in and leaving those messages. Hey, let's take another message here while we're pulling through this whole thing. Here's one I haven't even listened to it yet. Let's see what it is. Oh, is this another? No, that was the one I'm sorry, Zongers. I'm trying to navigate this while I talk. Oh, I haven't heard this one yet, but dude's fucking awesome. So let's just give the mic to the man. Here he is, Mr. John Wayne Commonale.
Mr. Frank. Mr. Frank, this is your friend John Wayne. I'm alone in the dark right now. I'm thinking about you with all the success. 100th episode. Bizzong! Hell yeah! Dong! Love you, dude.
John Wayne, thanks for calling in, bro, and leaving that message. I love your podcast, John Wayne. Everybody has to listen to John Wayne Lied to You every week. Comes out the same day as Bizzong. It's out pretty much every Monday. Zongers, I'm going to tell you, just listen to Bizzong first and then go to John Wayne. You know, a little after dinner mint there, John Wayne. Love John Wayne's podcast there. He tells awesome stories that I'm always blown away. His stories are always entertaining. And I sit there and go, how does he do that? And really, it's just like everyday stories, mundane, but he makes them cool and interesting. I wish I had that talent and ability. So thank you, John Wayne, for calling in. Thank you, John Wayne, for doing John Wayne Lied to You. And thank you, John Wayne. I don't know. You like to smoke Grandpappy's medicine. You may have been smoking a little Grandpappy's medicine before you called in, but it was just beautiful. Thank you for contributing your time. Keep writing, motherfucker. So John Wayne called in. He's been on the show a couple of times. Another guy, great guy. Got to meet him at Scares of Care this past summer. And I hope to see him down there again, along with a lot of you other Zongers. I know I talk about it a lot, and there's a reason I talk about Scares of Care a lot. It's a great charity, does a great cause, gives money to directly to people who need it, with 3 different necessities. But it goes directly to them, and they raised $10,000 for each recipient. I think it's a wonderful charity. You know exactly where your money goes to. There's no question about where your money goes to, and the convention itself is just an incredible networking, wonderful, feel-good experience because everybody's not there to be at a convention. Sometimes conventions, horror conventions or whatnot, they can be a little competitive natured. Scares of Care is the polar opposite of that. Everybody's pulling together to make the cause a success that it needs to be. So it's a wonderful event. If you can get down to Williamsburg, Virginia this summer, check out the Scares of Cares convention. And it's so writer focused. It's an amazing, the amount of writers in horror fiction. And there's a lot of bizarros down there that you'll meet. It's second to none as far as I'm concerned, and conventions are concerned. I got another one here, a little a last minute call in. I was hanging out with this dude today. I did a little quote unquote writers retreat. Got to hang out with a couple of my writers buddies. We hung out at Panera and rode the morning away. Spent 4 hours riding. Very successful thing to do. When I started out Bizzong, I did not really have writer friends, and I desperately wanted to connect with writers, of course, bizarro fiction writers, but really any writers in bizarro horrors, anything that, somebody I could connect to and relate with in terms of writing. It's part of the reason I started Bizzong, because I wanted to connect with writers, and this was my little way of doing writing school. I can tell you over 100 episodes, I've learned so much talking to writers. I've come so far with my own writing, thanks in large part to talking to you all. You Zongers get to hear, about an hour of interview week after week. Sometimes I've picked my interviewees' brains for an hour or more after an interview. It's just been a great opportunity. So all you Zongers out there, and all you past guests who have hung on the line and just kind of riff-raffed into the evening, those have been some really special times for me. Those things that the Zongers didn't hear, but it's been awesome. And everybody who has helped, whether they realize it or not, you're sharing your experiences in writing and publishing, marketing. It's what I'm looking for. I want to learn about that type of stuff. To hear about your successes and everything. You don't need Mr. Frank to tell you that there's no single piece of writer advice that's going to work for everybody or somebody or anything. You have to take it all in as a collective from all fronts and make good advice, fit for you as it sounds good. There's some great advice out there that just doesn't, won't work for you for one reason or another. And there's a lot of bad advice out there that doesn't work for anybody. There's no rhyme or reason to the successes of marketing, publishing. That's the biggest takeaway anybody should get from any type of writer podcast. There's no formula to it. There's no rhyme or reason to it nearly. There's a million things you can do. There's a million big books you can pick up and say, do this, and this. Chances are, if you follow that to the word, to the letter, it will still not work for you. All you can do is write the stuff and keep writing the stuff and keep putting it out there. All you can do, I think, is write because you love writing, and the chips will fall into place. You have to do your due diligence and be professional. That's still not going to get you success. Still not going to get you lots of money. It's not going to get you marketing dollars. But it's something you just have to do. Do it for the love of it, not for the money of it. And if you can get money along the way, fantastic. And if you figure out how to do that, I'm going to call you up and ask if you want to interview Bizzong and maybe give some advice. Lend us some advice on what makes you a success, because maybe in there somewhere we can pull a little nugget and make that little nugget work from us. Some little piece of your success may help us along the line. So, like I was saying, this gentleman, since I've started Bizzong, another gentleman I met through Scares at Care 2 years ago, and we have since been palling around with the aforementioned Sean Connery, Debbie Gibson, Jenny, the 40s gangster, Chuck Buddha. Thanks, Chuck, for calling in all those wacky calls. Here's Tim Meyer, phoning in last minute. We were hanging out. He said, "Oh, shit, when is that?" I go, "Dude, I'm doing this tonight, putting it all together." So he got it in under the bell. Let's hear from Timmy.
This is Bizzong, the Weird Fiction Podcast with your host, Mr. Frank. I'm just kidding. This isn't Mr. Frank at all. This is Tim Meyer, or as Frank likes to call me, horror author Tim Meyer. Just drop it in to say congratulations on your 100th episode. And also, if you want to hang out sometime, maybe grab a burrito, maybe some coffee, maybe come over and we can touch each other's nipples. I don't know, whatever you want to do. It's your day. It's your special day. So you let me know. And congratulations on the 100th episode. It's really, really special and stuff. So good job. And keep making them. So yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's it. That's all I want to say. Just give me a call whenever you can. If not, whatever. Okay. Bye.
Here's Tim rambling on. Tim Meyer, really good horror writer. I do call him horror writer Tim Meyer because he's a freaking horror writer. His name happens to be Tim Meyer. He does write some cool stuff. I've had him on the show. He's actually been on the show a couple times because I often do these writing. We've done conventions together. We do these little writing retreats like I was just telling you about. He's my writer buddy pal, and we do a lot of stuff together, and I'd like to promote him. So I brought him on the show. I qualify him because he was in one of the Fossil Lake anthologies, edited by Christine Morgan. And don't forget, I implored you last week, Zongers, Christine Morgan needs our help. There's a GoFundMe page, gofundme.com/Christine-Morgan. Give to her because she needs our help for all the help that she's given us. But Christine Morgan did the Fossil Lake anthology. He was in one of those that's a bizarro-leaning anthology, thus making Tim Meyer a qualified participant of the Bizzong podcast. It's like playing 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon sometimes, Zongers. Not going to lie. Sometimes I stretch the definition of bizarre and weird fiction. I had a guest on, Rick Gualtieri. He was a guy from New Jersey who, when I put out my book, Brats in Hell, I looked at the top 10 Amazon horror comedy books, and this guy had like 8 of the 10 slots, and I'm like, who the heck is this guy? I never heard of him, and he's from New Jersey, and he's doing exactly the type of fiction I'm doing, at least in so much as the label of horror comedy. So I had to check out one of his books. It's a lot of good fun. I enjoyed it, and it's Bill the Vampire, about a sort of nerdy, geeky vampire dude who has to, not your ordinary vampire, of course, weird and fun enough. And I had him on because he is a successful dude who has his sort of quirky brand of fiction, and that was good enough for me, Zongers. Far be it for me to not stretch, and it's my friggin' podcast. I can have on what I want, right? I love all you Zongers, but it's the bizarre and weird fiction. It's not just a bizarro podcast. And weird fiction, you get the Lovecraftian kind of weird stuff, but to me, weird fiction is anything offbeat. So I made it all encompassing from the get-go. It was my intention of, I didn't want to call it the Bizarro Fiction Podcast because I wanted to be more than that. I wanted to incorporate all the weirdness of fiction because really that's what I love. That's what I love about indie publishing, indie press, indie writers. We're a very experimental, carefree bunch. That's the stuff I love. It's especially why I love Bizarro. That is sort of the epitome of that spirit, but it casts a wider net than that for me. So I like to include all types of bizarre and weird fiction writers as I define it, and I reserve the right to define it for this podcast, and I hope you Zongers don't mind all that much. I got a couple more here, Zongers. Let's see, who else? Oh, how about a little rap music? Love this dude. Wrote one of the best bizarre books maybe ever, certainly of 2017. Let the D-man take the microphone.
Hello, my name is Douglas, pronounced with an uglis. I'm on the mic and I just don't give a fuglis. I'ma eat maggots while your basic ass eats hummus. Gonna stuff my mouth with crickets while you be whacking, you be bugless. To the D, to the O, to the U, to the G, Poppets is hustlers and puppets is G's. And this is Bizzong, the bizarre and weird fiction podcast. Yup.
Thanks, Douglas Hackle. Dude, I need to find a lot more reasons to bring you on the show. You know what I mean? You know how I expand the definition of bizarre? Well, I don't have to expand it for you. I just need to expand the reason to have you on, You write incredible work, and I need to have you on far more than I do. So maybe we'll have like the rap minute with Douglas D is for Doug Hackle or whatever. It's up to you, brother. But I need you on more often than you already are. Another guest has been on. Geez, Douglas, have you only been on once? If you've only been on once, which I'm thinking you are, that's criminal. Zongers, 2018, we're going to see Douglas Hackle, but we're going to hear Douglas Hackle. We can't really see him. It's not how this thing works. That's not how any of this works. Let's dig deep back into the archives of my call-ins here. Let's find one that maybe I haven't gotten to, may have skipped over. Here's one. Here's an important one.
Want to add any?
No, we already did that one. Here's one. It's actually from Chuck Buddha. Let's listen.
Hey, Frank Adler. This is Chuck Buddha of the Mondo Method podcast, also here on Project Entertainment Network. And I love your show. Congratulations, pal, for making it 100 episodes. That's no small feat. And I love to listen to the song. Bizzong! 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 Give me the gunga! Here's to another 100. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, and thank you, Chuck, for calling in and actually calling in as Chuck. Don't forget, Chuck is on the Mondo Method podcast, another podcast that comes out week after week. They are behind me. You know, they haven't done it. They're not as professional as me. But Chuck does the Mondo Method podcast with Armand Rosamilia. It's a cool podcast. They kind of talk out the whole writing process. You know, Chuck was the newer author. Armand had been in the game for several years, so they kind of work out their writing. It was like Armand teaching Chuck, but now, you know, they've been doing the podcast for over a year, and Chuck's kind of up to speed, but they bounce off each other. It's a lot of fun to listen to. They like to talk about Reese's Pieces and hot chocolate a lot, too. A lot of fun listening to that show right here on the Project Entertainment Network. All right, Zongers, so we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of it all. We got 2 more call-ins left as we're approaching the hour mark. I don't want to hold you up, as I do sometimes. I'm a little perplexed at which way to go here, but I think we should take it this way. I got one more celebrity call-in. You know, I was, again, blown away by the celebrities that called in. Did not expect all these Zongers that or more famous. This guy he's from back in the 80s, the early 90s. He was very prominent on the metal scene in New Jersey. So to have him call in is just phenomenal. So I'll let you listen to our latest and last celebrity call in of the show. Zongers, take it away.
Hey, Frank. Yeah, I'm the guy with the chain that goes from my ear to my nose in Skid Row, you know? And I just wanted to say congratulations on 100 episodes of Bizzong. It's a great fucking podcast. And, 18 in life and all that shit.
Not Dave. It's, the dude with the chain. I don't know. His name escapes me. It doesn't matter. He's the dude that once let Sebastian Bach in Skid Row, right? So there he is. And this next one, I don't know exactly who it is. I have my suspicions as to who it may be, but I think I got to read a book in order to know for sure. So I won't say for sure who this next caller is, since I don't know 100%. But I will say this. I think if I read the book Jimbo Yo Jimbo, I might have an idea of who this is. And maybe I'm wrong. Either way, take it away. Our final call in for the Bizzong 100th episode. Let's have at it.
Oh, that Bizzong, that damn Bizzong has touched me deeply, Mr. Frank. And now I'm gonna touch you. I'm gonna massage that shoulder meat. Gonna work in the dry rub. You like the dry rub, Mr. Frank? You like the iron skillet, Mr. Frank? Gonna turn up the heat, Mr. Frank. Gonna make it sizzle, Mr. Frank. Gonna pour on the butter and the onions. Hope they don't make you cry. Hope you like it medium rare, Mr. Frank. Hope you like it pink in the middle. I like it pink in the middle, Mr. Frank. I like it pink, Mr. Frank. In the middle, Mr. Frank. Tender, juicy, Mr. Frank.
Damn, what a way to end this Bizzong 100th episode celebration with a bunch of creepiness like that. I do like the pink. I like it pink in the middle. I like, very medium rare. Very medium rare. And Zongers, thank you all for contributing. If you didn't get a chance to contribute, look, I get it. It's if there's one thing I've learned podcasting, not only Bizzong, but the aforementioned Books, Beer, and Bullshit, it's that it's very hard to get audience engagement. You guys you're all being active. You're out and about listening to this podcast. That's the nature of podcasting. You can't just pick up a phone in the moment and do your call-ins and everything. So I really do appreciate everybody who was able to take the time to make the phone call, no matter what, the situation was, to just help out. And if you didn't get it in, no harm, no foul, Zongers. I know how it is. It's difficult. You're not always readily available to put something in. And sometimes, it's just difficult for a person to put themselves out there like my crazy ass does week after week. I get more comfortable with it. I sit here in the Bizzong studios staring at a wall across the expanse of my basement. It's wonderfully finished, so at least it's not something drab. But it is something I do week after week, basically sit here talking to myself, Zongers. It's a little weird, but I guess all in all, it translates to me talking to you while you're walking on the treadmill or driving along in your car down the highway, whatever it is that you happen to be doing when you listen to Bizzong. So thank you so much, Zongers, each and every one of you who listen week after week or time to time, or however it is you listen to Bizzong. I see the numbers out there, and there's no lie. You Zongers are out there listening to the shows whenever you can listen to them. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. This episode has been for you. This is a celebration of all the Zongers out there. Bizzong is going to continue. We're going to pick it up next week, episode 101. And Zongers, what do you say we do this again in episode 200? I hope you've all had fun. I had fun putting this episode together, getting your calls, and just celebrating this weird and bizarre thing we call Bizzong. Until next time, Zongers, check out these other great Project Entertainment Network podcasts.
You're listening to American Top 40. More tragedy in the news today. Kim Kardashian has a new baby. What the hell? There's nothing good to listen to. Hey, wait, what's this?
You gotta roll that out.
See, it makes me do weird things. I don't like it. God damn it.
I'd be going down on myself? Shit.
Hey guys, it's Bill,
Mick,
Maya,
and Junior
from the Unsupervised Podcast.
Check us out every Thursday on the Project Entertainment Network.
Take a break from the stress of the world and come have a laugh with or at us.
Bill.
Three Guys with Beards. The Project Entertainment Network store, featuring t-shirts, mugs, stickers, hoodies and more from your favorite Project Entertainment Network podcasts.
Ink Stain Scribbler's Rest.
The Horror Show with Brian Keane. Why not show your loyalty by wearing a cool product from the podcast group and show off to your friends?
It Cooks.
Armcast.
The Mondo Method Monster Attack.
Necrocastical. Go to projectentertainmentnetwork.com and click on the store tab for more details.
The Liars Club Podcast. Bizzong.
The Lunch Ladies Book Club.
Matters of Faith.
The Project Entertainment Network store, stacked with stuff from the best podcasts on the internet. The Curtain Jerkers.
Buttercup of Doom.
www.projectentertainmentnetwork.com.
This has been an exclusive presentation of the Project Entertainment Network.